What's cracking, people? It's your man, Cousin T, aka the Alpha Wingman, representing high-level technicians, operating globally and beyond. So listen, today I wanted to get into a couple of elements that I found interesting regarding the observations that we make in terms of the Insecure series. Now, keep in mind, the Field Master Ron Wills and the Master Teacher BGS Itmore are already doing a great job covering and reviewing the episodes, picking out various elements that are of interest as we observe human nature and how men and women interact within the modern mating and dating space. But what's interesting is that there are so many elements that I've observed in the last few seasons of this series that seem to draw from these spaces, the manosphere and in particular the black manosphere. And I want to highlight a couple of those elements in this presentation. The first element I want to highlight is one that was very interesting to be introduced towards the end of the last season, season 4, and into this season 5, and that was the presence of the baby mama effect. Now, this particular element came into play with the character Condola, and anyone familiar with the BGS Idmore's octane model, they understand that Condola is what would be considered a natural 92, and that is the upper middle class or even the upper class or corporate professional class of our society in America. And so to have a baby out of wedlock, an oops baby, or this, what I'm observing as a renegade baby is completely out of line with the social codes of the 92 octane class. However, once again, if you have your copy of the Seduction Scriptures and you turn to page 41, this is where the female group hierarchy is featured. And of course, I did another video breaking down the various characteristics of the female group hierarchy, specifically as it relates to the series Insecure, and I'll post a link to that video down below. But let's take a look at the rank of the bottom mistress, aka the shy beta. Now, pay close attention to what this says. The rating, moderately attractive / may have lifestyle issues. Now, if we stop right there and we think about Condola, she is a part of the Crazy Crew, which is the Fae group of Natural 92s under Tiffany's management. The other side to the lifestyle issues is this baby mama. Now, that's a direct pull from this particular model. So I don't know, maybe somebody on the writing staff, here's a picture of the writing staff, somebody was sniffing around and they saw something that, good on them. Just give us the credit. But moving on, the whole purpose of the female group hierarchy is that it's a vehicle of social mobility, whether it's to pass from one space to another or to ascend within a given social scene. But again, I go into further detail in the previous video breakdowns of the female group hierarchy. But I wanted to highlight that this is the permanent spot of Condola because she made the choice to have Lawrence's baby, quote unquote. Ain't nobody did a DNA test. So anyway, that move was completely renegade. She was making a completely renegade move when she decided to have that baby, not consulting with Lawrence, not consulting with the other Fae group members, which Tiffany would have shot that down. Maybe Tiffany would have shot that down. This leads us into the next part of this observation, and that is of the transition of the rank of Queen Bee from Tiffany to Molly. Now, this has been a gradual progression over the course of season 5. And there have been some definite benchmarks that can be brought out. But this particular episode, I believe, has been pivotal in marking Molly's ascension to the position of Queen Bee. Now, just a little background on this. If you remember, you can probably go back if you desire to previous seasons and previous episodes. The symbol of Tiffany literally driving the group to whatever event they were having, whether it's for a birthday party, whether it's for a trip to Coachella, for the school reunion. Tiffany has always been the one shown driving the vehicle, literally driving the group from space to space. Now, that bit of symbolism is important because it signifies the level of control that the Queen Bee has within the group. And remember, she's the one that has the highest social IQ. She has the most social currency, but she also has the greatest amount of bandwidth to maintain the hierarchy and maintain the balance of the relationships within the group until she broke down in the previous season. And that sort of breakdown was the beginning of her sort of relinquishing that spot of Queen Bee within this hierarchy. And so what's interesting is that the writers have made a very, very deliberate effort in this particular season to show Molly's evolution, to show Molly's sort of ascension to the position of would-be Queen Bee. The only thing left was to show and to highlight, to typify the changing of the guard, as it were. Tiffany's starting to doubt her capabilities. She had some mental health issues that were addressed towards the end of the previous season, but were more pronounced in terms of her decision-making capabilities and her willingness to, offer capable stewardship when it comes to the various ins and outs of the relationships of this particular hierarchy that she manages. And so with that, gentlemen, let's get into the symbolism that was brought out in this particular episode. Anybody who knows me knows that I am obsessed with symbols that are embedded within popular culture. I'll be doing a symbolic review of the movie Dune soon. Look out for that drop. But going into this particular episode, this is the first part that I want to highlight in terms of the changing of the guard. When Issa sets up the girls' day for the messy mistresses, and keep in mind, I just labeled them the messy mistresses. They don't really have a formal name, but it looks like we're going to have to change that name, for this particular phase. Anyway, when the women are seen arriving at Issa's apartment, notice how the first to enter is Molly, followed by Tiffany, and then ultimately Kelly. That's a very important image right there, showcasing Molly's entrance first, smiling, beaming, and when Tiffany enters, there's a little dig that happens with that interaction. Second, and this is a really important part to pick out, when Molly is talking about the festivities and she's breaking things down, I want to play you this small little clip and see if you catch what the significance of what Issa says is. Here it is.
We have dinner reservations at Nueva at 8 p.m., but right now, we pregame for maximum relaxation. Molly, you get the nicest one because you need it the most. Low-key, I re-rolled it like 10 times.
Did you catch that? Go back to page 41 of the Seduction Scriptures and look under the attributes of the Queen Bee. It says, she eats first and approves the transactions of the lower ranks. The others expect all men to desire her first, and so they relent to her and also look to her for a man's approval. Now, those subsequent lines after she eats first are really important because that's going to play out over the course of these samples that I have to give you. Now, here's the second sort of clip that I want to play that further shows Tiffany's declining ability to make sensible decisions in terms of advising the Faye group members as to how to navigate and negotiate their particular relationship ins and outs. But before that, look at this particular scene right here. Now, of course, in Hollywood and acting and in media, images are extremely important. And in this particular image, you see the subtle positioning of how Molly is higher than Tiffany on the couch. That scene of having them sitting together in the same space really is an image that is supposed to symbolize part of this shifting of the hierarchical dominance between the two. But I'm going to play you this particular clip to further show how Tiffany is not even passing the torch, but I mean basically just dropping off into obscurity. Here it is.
When the baby was born, I didn't even reach out.
You made the smart choice.
But why was it the smart choice?
Because she's not trying to be somebody's stepmom. What that look like?
Okay, I get that. But sometimes it's not about making the smart choice. It just has to make sense to you. And it doesn't have to be the smart choice to be the right choice.
Well, your choice was smart and right, so.
Yeah, we should go get dressed. It's getting late.
I know what you're thinking. What the fuck was she talking about? Okay, like wrong, true, what? Two wrongs don't make a right, but four lefts will make a circle. What? Shut up, gentlemen. I won't try to even decipher what Tiffany was talking about in this garble of verbal salad right here. But fortunately, Molly came through with the sensible talk, guided them through that particular instance, and led them into the transition, getting ready for dinner. Now, of course, this shows the stewardship capability necessary in a queen bee, but here's the final instance that shows sort of the 99% position of Molly ascending to the role of this particular female group hierarchy's queen bee position. It comes on the heels of Tiffany's admission that she and her husband could be moving to Colorado because he may be taking a new job prospect offer, and they would need to move there. And this is sort of the aftermath of the emotional dump that the women had, and it's showing yet again Molly taking the reins of the group and moving them forward.
Dinner's at 8. Yeah. It's 7:40.
Should we go? Or we could just have another drink here instead.
Yeah.
My apologies about the audio quality towards the end there, gentlemen. That's the cleanest take I could get. But if you notice, right there was the moment that, in my opinion, solidified Molly's ascension into that perspective spot. I say perspective because with these writers, you never know. But given the array of elements present in Molly's life right now, definitely attractive, definitely high social IQ, most material success, clearly, marriage and relationship prospects. With this new found, interest in one of the partners at her law firm, she has an equal in a relationship prospect. So everything's looking like a green light to go for Molly moving forward. And I know BGS at the end of his review of this particular episode, he hinted that they may have Lawrence and Condola get married. I personally don't necessarily see that. It would be a stretch given the way that he tore away from her at the end. But again, with these writers, you never know. I would more so lean towards Molly being the one who angles towards the committed relationship all the way up to the marriage prospect. Who knows, they may do another year advancement. In the last few episodes of the season, we get to see how her relationship dynamic progresses with her coworker. But if they were to have Lawrence marry Condola, that would be the tragedy of this series. We understand the necessity for duty, as Kevin Samuels likes to point out, the necessity for duty and committed relationships. But in the case of Lawrence and Condola, he should feel no duty to this renegade because she is making renegade decisions. She is coercing him into a situation that has totally upended his life. And if they try to romanticize this in any way, it would be a tragedy at the end of the day. But again, who knows what the last few episodes of this series will entail. That's my review. That's my observation in terms of the social hierarchies and the symbolism that's brought forth in this particular season of Insecure. As always, this is your man Cousin T, aka the Alpha Wingman, saying stay sharp and mission focused. Later.